Howdy, howdy, fellow folks of the internet and movie fans everywhere. Welcome to another edition of the Wisco Movie Watchers Podcast, brought to you by PTE Creative. As always, we're your hosts, Evan and Dylan Davies. Now, Dylan, what are we covering on today's show?
We got a nice anniversary episode.
Indeed.
1985's Clue.
We're going cult classic, spooky season, and it's crazy. Is this even a cult movie anymore?
I wouldn't consider it one, just because I don't know someone of our age group that hasn't seen it.
That's the crazy concept. Is I remember when I first watched this, and I talked to Dad about it, who did know a decent amount of that kind of stuff. Yeah. And he's like, no one really watched that movie. And then I did some research, and it very much was a movie that flew under the radar, kind of disappeared for a while, and then it just became like a Comedy Central movie or a VH1 movie, and then over time stopped being a cult movie and just became a beloved classic almost, which is it's a very crazy turn of events to have happen.
I was just looking up where it actually landed, and it only made $14 million total,
which is insane.
Yeah, so it came out in December, so first off, that's a weird time to come out with this kind of movie, yes, in my opinion.
This is a summer movie, or this is a late September, early October movie?
Yeah, that might explain a little bit of it. Also doesn't help that Back to the Future was in theaters for 6 months, so...
Right, well that's the thing is, we talked about this, and we've done a little bit of a look into it, but we've never done a true deep dive into what the marketing of this movie actually was. But we didn't understand how you could have Back to the Future for that long, and you have one of the two principal stars of that movie. And I understand it's not like you would have Michael J. Fox in this movie, but you have Christopher Lloyd in the same year that Back to the Future is becoming one of, if not the biggest juggernaut ever at the time, outside of Star Wars. So how do you not just double down constantly and be like, yo, we've got Christopher Lloyd. Whoa, we've got Christopher Lloyd. Yo, we've got Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
Because that used to work back in the day where you used to be like, oh, that guy was in this. Oh, we should try that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's still the era of movie stars.
Yeah. So it's just wild that was not how things worked for it. But because I never understood that. Because I started watching this movie, I don't know, year 2001, 2. And then I was just nonstop tracking it down. I loved this movie as a kid, and then it's just stayed with me forever. And you've had a pretty similar experience. Did you first watch this because I was like, I'm watching it, or did you find this on your own? Remember?
I have no idea.
I'm assuming
It's always been there.
Yeah, the ironic thing is I think this movie's set up in a really interesting way cast-wise, where they're just like, we're going to go get some pretty legit people because we have a small cast, so we don't have to do these. We can do a small all-star ensemble because we only have 14 actors in this film, 15, and then you have the extras that are cops. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the studio's wet dream.
Yeah.
One location, minimal stars.
That's
yeah,
it's a great way. It's a great cost-saving measure as well to go from there. So
yeah, I wonder what the budget on it was. Probably not much.
I can't guess that's that much. However, they do have some players in this in terms of cast and crew. You have John Landis as a story, and this is the height of John Landis right after American Werewolf in London, where he's already proven his kind of directing chops, and he's a big player at that time. This is before Batman, so it's before.
According to this is just Google saying it, but according to Google, it says it was $15 million. So it broke even. I don't know if I trust that.
Do you think it's low, or do you think that's high?
It seems extremely high for what this movie is.
Right. I don't know. Well, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but just considering that there's no like A-lister stars in it, that
No,
seems
we got a lot
weird to
of
me.
B. We got a B, C, and D listers. The
We got a
closest,
lot of great character actors and a lot of great like supporting cast.
yes. Who would you say
Like
is the closest to A list star here?
at the time, it's probably Christopher Lloyd.
Say Christopher Lloyd, or I was thinking maybe Madeline Kahn.
Madeline Kahn has always been a supporting character, though.
Yeah,
Like she's never led a movie, at least that I've seen.
yeah.
Like everything I've seen her in, like all the Mel Brooks stuff. She's in Paper Moon. She's in this. So like, she's always one of a cast.
Yes, and she
And then
usually
like,
ends up stealing it because she has.
exactly. Like she's just perfection in every single way. I love her so much.
I love Madeline Kahn. Yes.
Tim Curry, he's always like a bit player or a side character. So like, I guess Rocky Horror would be the thing that he stars in.
Yeah, and then this would be his biggest
But Rocky
lead
Horror
outside
was
of that.
another cult classic. So
Yeah, Tim
I don't
Curry.
think
We talked
I
about
don't
Tim Curry
know
before, but
I don't know when Rocky Horror really caught on as like a cult movie.
right.
It seems like it's later than 1985.
I don't know. It's some more research that we would have to do to really do a
Yeah.
deep dive on. But yeah, this
Oh,
is this is another Tim Curry starring role. It's kind of nice.
you mentioned Batman and the house
Yeah,
that Clue shot. I don't know if it's the interior. That might be a set, but definitely the exterior is in Pasadena, and then just a stone's throw away is the original Batman mansion, the Wayne Manor in
nice.
the '60s TV show.
That's awesome. Well, the reason I brought up Batman is the executive producers on this film are John Peters and Peter Guber, who are the executive producing team on Batman. So this is pre them becoming holy fuck the producing team. Like, not that they weren't an active and good producing team already, but this is clearly a movie where they're trying some stuff and they haven't fully stamped out they're the producers.
They jumped ship. They went from Paramount to Warner Brothers.
Yes, well, they had to for Batman. So,
Yeah.
well, they shopped it around. They found, and then they were gonna go. They had Universal, and then by the time they got Batman, they're like, "Oh, we're going to Warner Brothers. We have Batman. We're gonna do this." But yeah, because it's after this that it becomes the John Peters horror show in Hollywood, where all he wants to do is make a giant spider in every fucking movie ever, and he finally gets it, like 15 years after he wants it originally, which is
To
also
be fair, Wild Wild West is '99, right?
yes,
That's probably the earliest he could have pulled off, like a giant spider, like robot. Like I can't imagine anything in the '80s would look good at all.
the best you could do is like shoot it like the Rain Core from
Yeah, it'd have to
Return
be
of the
stop
Jedi,
motion.
and you have to do stop motion, and you have to shoot it very strategically, where it's
Yeah.
this, and then back down, and things like that. You can't have simultaneous shots of it
Yeah.
going on, but it's also just hilarious because everybody's like, "This is the dumbest idea ever," but he tries to like put it in
Of
every
course it
movie he
is.
does, and then. I
I mean,
highly recommend. I've talked about this before. I highly recommend, even if you're not a big fan of Kevin Smith's, just go listen. Just literally type in to YouTube Kevin Smith Giant Spider. It'll come
mhm.
up, and his story of him meeting Peter Guber, getting the job to write Superman, and then he just continually learns more of what John Peters wants Superman to be. And then he talks to somebody about it, and he's like, "Oh my God, John's a fucking giant spider. Like he won't let it go. He just wants it in every fucking movie he wants, man." But I
I
highly
mean,
recommend people listen
I
to that interview.
understand that, like being attached to an idea that you think will work so well, but then in the end, it's like you're just kind of forcing it into whatever you
Well, that's
can.
the thing is that it doesn't fit anywhere in any movie that he
Yeah.
produces, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a Superman without a cape, who can't fly, and he's gonna fight a giant spider," and you're like,
Yeah. Also, that Superman costume is fucking weird as hell.
"Oh yeah, oh yeah,
The
yeah."
Nick Cage one. Yeah.
It's crazy, but that's neither here nor there. We just had to talk about that because they are the executive producer team on this film. Let's roll into this our general way, if we
Oh,
can.
oh yeah. Real quick, right before we started rolling, you said how I hadn't finished the movie
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
because you share my voodoo, and you saw that it was not finished all the way, and that's because for the last 6 months I fall asleep to this movie every single day. It is because it's the perfect movie to fall asleep to because you have that long beginning where
Yeah,
it's like some music and very little dialogue. It's just people walking around, really.
for the most part, yeah.
So, like, when I put on my mask to sleep, so it's completely dark, like, it's so easy to fall asleep to this movie because there's so little happening at the beginning. I know that the opening, like, score so well now.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I was gonna say I love this intro, so I don't know how well your commentary bodes to the quality of this film. If you're like, oh, I fall asleep to it every night, you're like, well, goddamn.
Well, I, I just can't think of another movie that's so quiet to begin. And I love that about this movie. Like, I love that it takes its time.
Yeah,
It's it's not like overly long either, so it fits perfect. I would say maybe like the first 15 minutes, maybe a little bit less, is all introduction to character.
yes, they do a good job jumping, so it never feels like it's too dwells too long, because that could really bite
Yeah.
them in the ass if they took too long. But outside of the Wadsworth intro, it's very much a cut to here, cut to here, cut to here,
Yeah.
away to
And
other characters, which is really smart.
I think they do extremely good job of like giving each character a beginning or an intro that like kind of shows something of their character like immediately.
Yes.
And then the one that's probably the weakest is uh probably Madeline Kahn, Miss White, but then you get like her little theme that she has running throughout where it's like
Yes.
you could tell it's a little bit dangerous, a little bit
Well, that's the thing.
off keel.
I think that's the strongest one. Mrs. Peacock's the only one that has a true like, oh, she just showed up. Because Colonel
True.
Mustard's the first one. Then Mrs. White, she at least gets the coat open, which I think is a tremendous thing to see. Where
Yeah.
it's usually the reversal of light to dark color, and then it turns dark to light to back to dark right away, which I absolutely love.
I will say that is my one gripe about this movie. I wish the costumes were consistent throughout where they actually were the colors of the character, you know?
See that I have that note as well.
Because like it
I
would
would
have been so
prefer that.
it'd be so awesome to see Professor Plum in like a nice, really dark purple suit.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be Joker purple, but a deeper purple,
Yeah, and then like Miss Scarlet is like
all
that's
blue.
like so easy.
Yes.
Like just put her in a red dress. That would have been so awesome.
The thing is this. I think the nice touches with Miss Peacock, I think, are great. With like the whole
Yeah,
bird's nest of peacock feathers, I think is
yeah. Miss
tremendous.
Miss Peacock and Miss White, I think they nail it, one
Yeah,
hundred
because
percent.
I also think the fact that they play against the all white and go all black and for a whole character, it the whole vibe is set for Madeline Kahn to steal this movie, and I think you would
Yeah,
agree with me that she is.
100%. She steals everything she's in.
Yeah, but it's her and Tim Curry are really the ones that are pulling this movie along with straight charisma. Where you're like, God damn, they've got some. Not that, and I like everyone else in this movie, and I have positive notes for everyone else, but those are the two where you're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also to see Colonel Mustard in a nice mustard like 80s ugly ass suit would have been awesome.
The thing is this: they at least get the brown and a little yellow undertone, so
It's
he's
yeah, it's
close enough that I
brown.
can accept it. Professor Plum has like nothing, and I would have been fine if it was like tweed and a purple underneath, because they're like, it's the '50s. We're not going to do as much with
Oh
that.
yeah. I always forget this is technically a period
It's
piece.
technically a period piece, so I would have been fine if they did like, they have almost like a really weird scarlet maroon colored vest on him, and I'm like, just make it purple. Just
Yeah.
make it that deep. It's funny.
Well, and then
I
you go
inherited some suits from a friend, just because they had someone pass away, and they're like, "Hey, no one, I have no man in my life whatsoever in our family. Do you want these? And I was like, well, I guess I'll just take them because I don't want them to go to waste. They're like nice suits or whatever, even though they barely fit me. But I also thought of perhaps a project that we've hinted at a couple different times to just have that in the back pocket. And there's this
Yeah.
purple that I have a purple suit from it, and it's not like Joker purple where you're like, Jesus Christ. But
No, I think purple looks great
I think purple
as a
does look
suit.
great, but I think it has to be that deeper purple look where
Yeah.
it's obviously not black, but it's not going into the hey, child is coloring a rainbow purple. It can't be like
Yeah.
that violet color.
Well,
So
Mr. Green as well. Like a green suit is not that weird.
no, and the thing is this is they don't get close enough. They could have fudged it even if they said we don't want full green. But like there's so many same thing. One of the other suits I inherited is this lovely green color, and it's not like again, it's not this viridian color. It's a deeper
Hmm.
green color. So, yeah, I do think the costuming could be better in some ways because they all look great. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone looks bad. It's just they did a really good job honoring the source material and honoring the game, and then to do Mrs. White so well and to find a way to make Mrs. Peacock work really, really well. And
Yeah.
then, and you still fit a maid in somehow. And you made it work. So Mrs. White isn't just the maid. To find all these pieces to make it work so well and then just not go that extra mile, it does seem a little missed opportunity to me.
Yeah. Real quick, I was just taking a look at what the original characters look in the game.
Hmm.
And like you have Colonel Mustard in a military outfit. Mr. Green is in a green suit.
Yep,
Professor Plum has a red bow tie and a purple suit. And then Miss Scarlet is like the bombshell with
obviously.
that dress. And then the one thing they do change is that Miss White in the game is the older woman.
Yeah, she's the maid.
Yeah, and then you got uh
Mrs. Peacock is blue.
Peacock. Yeah, Miss Peacock is like kind of like a middle-aged woman.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why I do think they did some really smart changes, but this is where I would have been like it's almost like they're going the MCU version of this where they never when they first wouldn't fully commit to the costumes or like early comic book movies
Mhm.
in like the 90s 2000s they're like well we can't go too garish and you're like it's a comic book movie we want to see the suit and they
Yeah,
like
the
won't give it to you.
X-Men effect.
Yeah, so it is something I would have liked to see a
And,
little bit more.
like that's my one gripe about this movie. Other than that, I love it so much.
Well, the thing is, this what in rewatching this film and actually evaluating it, I think what's crazy is how many details you can miss that they really actually did pay attention to, which is why I think I do have a gripe with the costume, as we said, because there is a really good underlying creepy tone to this movie to make sure the tension is built and the audience buys it and believes it, even though it's clearly this manic comedic energy throughout. There is this, the music lends itself to this tone. It all lends to this creepy underlying murder, and you have to figure it out. And you're like, okay, that's a really cool vibe to play as a comedy. A whodunit comedy is actually really fun, but there needs to be this stakes of, well, people could die. This could be problematic. And they balance it really, really well in a way that I don't
Mhm.
think many others could. So that's a really interesting vibe to see. I think the intro is phenomenal. The silly running gags throughout, I think, are great. Like the dog
Yeah,
poops a little over the top for me, but it's still kind of like I like it that it's just something to keep the levity and keep pace
yeah.
at
I was gonna
first.
say it doesn't like feel out of place. So I don't have a problem with it.
Right, and I think it's a good dual tone where you have these very I don't think this is the right word, but it's the only word coming to my mind. Operatic style music where it's heavily themed, heavily on point, and then the characters have to do something comedic to make sure the tone isn't lost. So I do think it's kind of interesting to have that.
Yeah, the score is a good mix of like classic Hitchcock thriller with some levity in there.
Yeah.
So like it does feel like at least a little bit thriller-ish. It's
Yes.
very light, but yeah, I think the music is actually really done well.
Right. Now I'm kind of struggling of where to go next. Because I think you just got to talk about your principal. In rewatching this, outside of Madeline Kahn, who we've already discussed a little bit, which I'm sure we'll talk about more, of like the principal six characters, and then add Wadsworth in there, because Wadsworth's, I think, a completely different animal to tackle. Was there one that stood out to you more than usual when you're actually trying to evaluate this?
No, because it's always Madeline Kahn. Like she is the standout character.
Well, the thing is, this is one character I never gave credence to while watching this growing up, and I kind of was like, okay, whatever. And I came to really enjoy and loved was, I think Eileen Brenner does a phenomenal job with this like nervous energy of Mrs. Peacock that is so
Mhm.
undervalued, because Miss Scarlet has an obvious archetype that she's hitting. Christopher Lloyd gets to play this like lascivious version of Dr. Brown,
Yeah.
this really sleazy, you know, version of Doc Brown, which is interesting and fun because it is very different from Doc Brown, but it's fun to see the parallels. If they're an expert in something, but they have that. Colonel Mustard is, I don't want to say bumbling idiot, but he has his moments of bumbling idiot.
I think that's his character as written. Yeah.
And then Mr. Green is just the nervous wreck who's always claiming innocence. And
I do like that. I mean, the one thing about Mr. Green that it wouldn't work if you don't get all three endings. That's the one thing I'd say about his character. Like, because in the ending where it's Mr. Green who's the FBI agent, that reveal works so well because he's been that nervous wreck of a character the entire time.
yes,
Whereas, like, if you got the Scarlet ending or the Peacock ending, I'd be like, oh, his character was the same 100% throughout the whole thing.
right. And I think that that does play towards the archetype of the genre. Is there's always somebody who's the light throughout, but you got to have something interesting about them. But generally, they don't change much. They're the constant because so many moving pieces happen in the murder mystery style that you need a constant to run with.
But that's usually the lead detective.
Right.
And there is no lead detective in this movie.
There is, but it's just done in a very different way with Wadsworth. Wadsworth is really the detective.
Yeah, and that's loose.
Oh, it's super loose. But that's why
Because
I think I enjoy it because it's so
it's
different.
not like he's finding clues and stuff.
No.
I do have one question because I really think it's brilliant. Because I was trying to think of like what other way you could do it, like the whole conceit of the weapons and introducing them all.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how else you would do it, honestly.
I have that. I have a note about the
Un-
weapons as well.
Unless you just do like, oh, they're just found items throughout the house that they start
And
using.
that's where I agree. I don't know how well it works. And the other thing is, it was putting on the English major cap for me, where I actually tried to analyze it. I was like, all of them correlate to the character they're given to really well. Just really well in some way, shape, or form. And yes, I don't know how you do this. I think it'd be different if, let's say, like, Mrs. Peacock smuggled in the knife to kind of show some character that she's the backstabber, because she's like, well, I could always be in danger, you never know, those Reds could get me, and this like communist red herring thing. And I don't think it would have been, and I think it would have been very logical if Colonel Mustard brought in the revolver, just being like, I'm a
Yeah,
military man, I always have a gun on me.
that'd be fine. Yeah.
But then every other one of those has to be found somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no good way to introduce the candlestick.
Well, that's the easiest one to introduce in this house.
Oh, if you're just saying they're found objects,
They're found
yes.
objects. The noose is the hardest one. You're like, what the fuck do I do with a noose? Like, how do you organically introduce this? Because you could literally go,
I would just introduce as a bit of rope, like, and then have the character make the noose. But
right. Which is also, who the fuck can make a noose? That says a lot that I don't know if you want to go into.
maybe
Uh,
Mustard being a military man.
yeah, but then also you're like, that's a tone that I don't know if you really want to play
Yeah,
with. Where like Mrs. White, maybe you could play with that tone simply because you've pretty much told everyone, oh, she's murdered. She's a Black Widow. She murders everybody.
yeah. Also, I
But
think it's hilarious that her method of killing people is not what a Black Widow usually is.
no,
Like, usually a Black Widow's like, they usually poison their husband,
yeah.
but she's like cutting off their heads and shit. Like,
Well, also, I just think there's so much witty banter that's wonderful, and I'm going to get back to the weapons, but it's starting to get people towards the weapons. That's where Madeline Kahn completely already takes this movie over for me, is when they're exposing all the secrets to everybody, so you know why they have to play the blackmail. And she's like, you know, your husband died under mysterious circumstances. She explains it, and she's like, I was at the movies all night, but his head had been cut off, and his, and then naturally they have the natural gag of all three men in the room just go, I'm gonna cross the leg quick just in case. But then
it feels very Seinfeld.
yes, it's very Seinfeld, and I love it. But my favorite thing is the follow up. But you also had he was your second husband. Your first husband also disappeared. She's like, well, that was his job. He was an illusionist. And like, but he never reappeared. He wasn't a good illusionist. It's like, it's such a phenomenal line because obviously it's not like a magic trick gone wrong, but it's hilarious to have a woman just be like, magic trick gone wrong. Not my fault.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about it. And I just think that's such a fun, witty line that this woman has cooked up every scenario possible in her head where she will never allow someone to be able to truly prove that she did something.
Well, that's one of the things that actually feels kind of real in this movie is like whenever someone starts accusing someone, all they do is deflect and then start blaming someone else.
Yes.
And that's real. Like that's a real coping mechanism.
I think that lends really well to the believability of this movie and your buy-in. And I also love all the little shots everybody takes where when they're carrying the cook to the study and Mr. Body is discovered to have disappeared even though he was already dead. And Wadsworth and I think it's Mr. Green. They drop the cook, and she just drops to the floor, and she's only half lifted up, and it's like, oh, we should have made sure he was dead, and then you just have Mrs. Peacock straight to Mrs. White by cutting his head off. I suppose she's like, that was uncalled for. It's just a great little banter back and forth where you can understand nobody trusts anybody, but we all have to work together in this, and there are little alliances that form. Just teeny tiny ones, but they're always super temporary, and it's just pairing that I think is great. But speaking towards the weapons, I love the weapon choice to each character. I think that's really smart when you actually look at it. Mustard, he gets a rusty wrench as a military man. Military's supposed to go in and fix the situation, but the rust kind of shows. Not very good at it.
I do also love the fact that Mr. Body introduces them as each one of you is holding a deadly weapon, and then there's a wrench, a candlestick. It's like, you're stretching that categorization.
Right. But then you have Mr. Green has a lead pipe, which is very brutal, and he would need to be someone else than what he is shown to be, and he's already a closeted homosexual in this, so he'd have to live a double life to use this and actually kill somebody, which I think that psychology is really interesting, because at first, like, who gives a shit? It's a lead pipe. just hit someone with it. You're like, but the person who's given it is great. Obviously Mrs.
Yep.
White getting the noose to strangle someone and silence them. She's pretty good at that. It really shows to her. I love Peacock as a politician's wife, so naturally the knife is showing her to be the backstabber. I think that's great. I love Miss Scarlet having the candlestick, and it's this fake opulence and elegance that she has, and the candlestick's perfect for that because at the end she can just bash someone's head in with it. And then Professor Plum's the most obvious and good one to have because he's a doctor and he has to deliberately choose to take life away instead of heal somebody to use the most obvious weapon to kill. So I just think those are all really smart choices of who gets each one because you could easily just be like, give him this, give him this, give him this. You could tell there was
Yeah.
some thought process in there that I appreciated.
Yeah. I would assume that. I mean, John Landis seems to be at least somewhat like thinking a little deeper than just comedy
Yeah.
most of the time. There always seems to be something else with his movies, like whether it's like a good heart to the movie, like Groundhog Day, where it's like there's some real heart in that movie. And that's another thing we'll bring up when we talk about the other movie we're going to discuss, Casper.
Hell yeah.
There has to be something else going on in the movie to
Yes.
keep you intrigued.
Yeah. And I just think the weapon choices are really, really nice. Those are just all things that I think add to the paranoia. I honestly don't have many more notes than that. I have a little notes for other things in the movie, but those are the ones that really show the deep
Yeah.
psychology behind this.
This isn't really a gripe, but I do think Mr. Body is a little too ambiguous of a character.
Sure.
Like, you never get like a good explanation of who he actually is, and I'm fine with that because, like, at the end of the day, he's there to be killed. Like,
Yes.
they need they need bodies that can be discovered.
I think that they do the best in that situation because at the end of the day, yeah, he's there to be killed, but him being the first one to be killed, quote unquote, is really important because it feels like a big character's getting knocked off because they build him up.
Yeah,
But yes, there isn't like a great, oh my god. But then that's why the third ending is so much better that
yeah,
Wadsworth is pretending the whole time to not be Mr. Body, and then he is Mr. Body. So then
Yeah.
it feels like this great moment where the characters, feel like they got that one of the big bads wasn't actually the case, and the big bad's back at the end.
yeah.
To
I do
fuck
like
all of them up.
Plum's line when he's like, "Well, who did I kill?"
Yes.
And then what? My butler. Ah,
Ah,
shucks.
exactly. It's
It's great.
it's those lines. There's so many really smart, witty little lines in here that I absolutely love. I just want to
I
bring.
also do like, I do like the fact that each of the people killed are also connected to the characters in some way. I think that's a really smart way of doing it because you can at least give further backstory to these characters.
Right.
Whereas, like, it would have been easy just to have like the cop be just a cop, nobody who just shows up,
Right.
or like the driver who gets like abandoned out there or
Yeah.
stuck. Like, it would have been so easy for him just to be, an interloper.
Well, the thing is, I also look. I'm like, how else do you accomplish this plot? You have a communism red herring. You have everyone under blackmail. How did they get the blackmail? They at least give real logic. There's not a lot of plot holes in this film. Like, they explain how they get to everything, and it's not because at first you're just like, okay, you could accept. Well, people are getting blackmailed. You're like, well, okay, how? Like, some of these characters, you're like, how? You know?
Yeah. Well, nowadays, like Mr. Green, he's completely fine.
Yep.
I would say Miss Scarlet, completely fine. Technically, she's doing it
Yes.
as something that's illegal, but it's like most people don't even frown upon it now.
No one
Like sex
cares.
work is just like whatever.
Yeah, it's only the Christian right that hates sex work, pretty much, and that's about
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
and I mean, technically it is dangerous, but that's because it's illegal.
Yeah.
So it's like, look at any country that has it legalized, and it's pretty safe,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, it's like we should learn from 1985's Clue.
Oh yeah, Peacock is taking bribes.
Yep.
Professor Plum was
He slept with one of his
like,
patients.
yeah, like dishonored and
Yeah. Well, military man doing wrong, then he'd be a senator by now. He'd probably be the president by now.
it's true.
So
True, yeah.
he was.
I'd take Martin Mull as the president.
Hey, it'd be fun. It'd be fun. So like, yeah. Obviously, Mrs. White would be the obvious one that always goes down. It's like you killed your husband. You're like, ugh,
Yeah. No,
ugh.
she's definitely like a multiple murderer, probably a serial killer, honestly.
So that's the thing is I just love the setup to each scenario really really well, and they do a good job of. There's this pace of up and down constantly, like it looks like an EKG almost, where it's constantly up and down. But it's smart because when they go down, they stay down for a little bit, and then they move it back up, and then they bring it back down, move it back up.
I do want to bring up one scene that I'm so glad this was filmed in the 80s and not today, because I don't think you would ever be able to get away with it. And that's the part where they're trying to fake it for the cop by like with Miss White literally kissing a corpse.
Yes,
Like that would not be in a movie nowadays.
fucking hysterical.
I love that scene so much. And then you have like Mr. Green trying to not non-verbally communicate with Wadsworth that like, hey, we're fine, we're in the clear somehow. Like
Exactly.
I love it so much.
I that's where I do think that I don't want to come off as comedy's being persecuted. Comedy's not being persecuted. I want to make that very clear. But there is something to where they're not going for a necrophilia joke. They're going for a,
Mhm.
I'm fucked and I'm about to go to prison. What will I do to stay out of prison joke? And just
Yeah.
what is the most ridiculous scenario that we can create to not be
The
put in
thing
that
is,
spot?
I wouldn't say like comedy has gotten sanitized in a way because movies don't try to take risks anymore. Like
No.
they try to go with the safest route to what will be a success and what will just be like, okay, no one's gonna complain about this shit. It's like I I love the risk taking of
Well,
a
that's
movie
the
like
funny
this.
part is all the comedies that are really well remembered, even from the past 20 years, were all movies where something went down where you're like, I didn't know they could
Yeah,
do that. Or like, God
exactly,
damn, that's crazy.
because it's memorable.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it's just funny and you realize that's the point. It's funny.
hmm
It's not supposed to be a statement on the world. It's supposed
like
to be a
I
what?
yeah, I think like the perfect example of that is the Anchorman fight scene
Yes.
where it's like it's so random, it's so crazy, it gets bonkers as hell, but it's like that's why it makes it so memorable. It's like that's a studio taking a risk on a comedy.
That's the first one I thought of. Because it's
Yeah,
just so out of left field. What the fuck is happening? There's a guy
yeah,
getting stabbed with a trident while he's on a horse.
yes,
And does anyone go, oh my god, he just murdered a guy? No. And get offended by it? They go like, holy shit, he just killed a guy. And they just make it a joke.
hmm
It's tremendous. It just works. And I think that's what I love about those scenes. Is like, I don't think they're trying to make commentary on necrophilia. I don't think they're trying to make commentary on
That's another
so many
thing.
things.
That's another thing I hate about the modern way of looking at movies is people always think you're making a commentary on something.
Yeah,
And it's just like maybe they're just telling a fun story that they thought was funny.
exactly. And I do think it's tough to balance that now, but also we've come into this almost everyone in some way, shape, or form has been taught this like odd, really crude version of English analysis
Yeah, I was
where
gonna say analysis. Yeah,
everyone has been taught what's the meaning behind this in a really crude way, and you're just left to your own devices sometimes. And it's something I always used to complain about, especially in school with the degree that I have, where I was like, I really don't think this means anything. And everyone's like, no, no, no. I'm like, I'm telling you, I don't think this really means anything, and if it does mean something, it's not strong enough for me to actually seriously consider it.
Mhm.
Sometimes I think it's just, it's that
Yeah, because
simple.
there's like when I'm writing something, I'm not always thinking of the meaning behind something.
No.
Sometimes I'm just like, that's a fun idea. I'm gonna throw it in there.
What's a fun idea, or does it get you from point A to point B to point C to tell the story that you're trying to do? And when you connect the dots, maybe it means something, but in the moment, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything. It
And
just,
there are authors and storytellers that do really think of like everything down to the last detail.
yes. And more
Like
power to them.
I'm rereading Game of Thrones right now, and I will give George R. R. Martin this. He is a genius in terms of everything is thought about, like down to the last detail. So there are people like that, but I don't think that's necessary in especially comedies.
Yeah. Comedy is meant to make you laugh, and that's where it begins and ends. And you can maybe get commentary out of it, you can do other stuff with it, but comedy is meant to just make you fucking laugh. That is the whole point. And that's where I do appreciate a lot of this stuff, because one of my favorite lines ever is they open the door after realizing that the singing telegram girl was shot, and it's just, this is getting serious. And then they just nonchalantly shut the door. They don't even move the body.
Oh,
Nothing. They don't even care.
that yeah, that little soundbite, 3 second soundbite of her singing and then the gunshot will always stick with me.
It's hilarious.
It's like one little piece
Oh,
of
I
the
sing it
movie.
to myself every couple months. It pops in my head, and I just go, "I am your singing telegram."
It's like yeah, it's like burned into our memory. Just
Yes.
that little 3 second part.
But I just love how many little notes there are. Or the only other scene I think is really really smart, or a collection of scenes I should say, is when they draw locks, and they're gonna go two by two and explore the house, and they make sure they've set up all these different things without you knowing it, and the ones that don't have an obvious connection, they make one really quickly through character. Where obviously they set up, no man in his right mind would ever be alone with you. Naturally,
Yeah,
he gets put with her immediately,
yeah,
which is great. I love that supposed always thinking organized military man who's a bumbling idiot but presents as this goes with, oh my god, sex workers are stupid, and she's secretly like the smartest of the bunch and always is devising things
yeah.
and figuring it out. I love that contrast.
Uh, Real quick, out of those the places that you have to explore, which one would you least want? Attic, the upstairs, the main floor, or the basement?
I think I'd probably go cellar I don't want to be in, only because if it's a real world logic scenario in a house like that, there's no way to get out of that fucking cellar. And if there's a murderer down there, my option is get 2 stairs or I'm fucked. Where everywhere else, I've got rooms and things to play around in to at least make some distractions, figure some shit out. Where the cellar, I'm like, there's no windows, there's no doors. I'm just in
Yeah,
this area in a very confined space, and I'm fucked.
yeah, that's true. If you're with the murderer, pretty good chance you're gonna die down
Correct.
there.
Or the attic would be my second choice. Where I'm like,
See, I'd want the attic because I'm like, I mean, to me, that's like the smallest space. Where it's just like, it's very easy to just like not turn your back on someone in that small of a space.
well, I speaking of that, I loved that that's shown to be. It's a great way to show that there's still danger there, because the whole time you're meant to see that isn't a threat. And I love the fact that she turns out to be a real threat. And I love that moment from Mr. Green showing his true intelligence. And at first you just think he's a coward. But, all right, go on, go. And it just keeps talking. And he's like, I'll be right behind you. He's like, that's why I'm nervous. And I just
Yeah.
love that moment because it shows there's actual real thought and intelligence to him. And it's not just him being a bitch. He's just like, if I go up there, I'm in danger. If I go up there leading the way, I'm in worse danger.
Yeah.
Because now I could be attacked by two fronts. So we'll go together, and they just go up, and I love that. I love all those moments of everyone not trusting each other. I think that's really smart.
Okay. I just looked this up because I was curious about it. I mentioned it earlier. The interior is a set that they built on the sound stage.
Okay.
Exterior is a real location.
Okay. I mean, I
I
assumed. I thought maybe the first
I
floor may have been. There's a
yeah,
possibility that that was real, but
I love that set so much. Like if I was a millionaire, I think that would be the house I would build
it's
down to a T. I love
it's
it so much.
it's a beautiful, beautiful set. Set
I say it
decoration
all the
deserved
time.
a lot.
It's cozy as hell.
It's cozy as I do. I think that there might be some minor tweaks I'd throw in there, but yes, it's. I think it's a cool.
Yeah.
That's another one where I just think that's a great way to show character in other movies too. That I wished was done more. Was the set is a character, and so often when we're doing green screens and we're doing other stuff, it's why things don't feel memorable anymore,
Mhm.
or why one movie that I think I usually criticize this movie. I'm not usually very friendly to this movie. It's mostly because everyone thinks this movie's phenomenal, and I think it's mid as hell. And Knives Out. The one thing I will say about Knives Out that I like is you can tell they're in a physical space,
Yeah, the location is great.
and so that set feels and makes things feel tangible and real. The rest of everything that happens in that movie, whatever. And I'm also
Knives,
I'm on
Knives
record
Out,
not being a Ryan Johnson fan, anyways.
yeah. Knives Out definitely feels derivative of Clue, like heavy influence.
And it's not influenced the correct way. That's the other thing I said. I'm like,
Yeah,
it doesn't learn the complexities that Clue has. It doesn't learn any of that. It's all the characters are too one note. Where I don't think
true.
anyone in Clue is one note.
Except, like I said, if you only get one of those endings, then I think some of them are.
The only thing is that you see different moments of distress, different moments of panic. You get
Yeah.
to see the
But
methodical side
like,
of everybody. But yes, I understand what you're saying.
I'm thinking of like if I was in the theaters in 1985 where they only showed one ending and they switched it up all the time, I think I would be a little upset because I feel like it's like not as satisfying at all.
Yeah, I understand that. I think it's an awesome
Especially,
gimmick that does actually hurt the movie a little bit.
yeah,
If
I think like if I only got the Peacock ending, that's the one I think I'd least like. Whereas like if as one of three, it's fantastic.
yes,
But I think I would feel a little let down if that was the ending that I only got.
in order just by watching the movie here. It,
Also, talk about a studio taking a risk. Multiple endings and showing only one of them.
yeah, that's big. That's a
Yeah.
great gimmick. That's a great gimmick. Because also
Hmm.
think about that in the internet day.
That would have killed, yeah.
And how many people? Do you know how many multiple viewing tickets you would get today if you had a good movie that people
Yeah.
liked? Because people would be like, what did you have in? And just I even think of Madison. There's multiple theater chains here. There's multiple theater locations here. You know what? Like you'd have to travel to a completely different city, possibly being in Oshkosh and only having one theater to go find the other ending if you really wanted to do it. Where the bigger cities that have multiple theaters, literally, it'd be like Reddit would be going crazy with a good
Hmm.
movie, just being like, "Oh, hey, the Madison Southside Marcus, the Point had ending A, but I heard up at the Palace they have ending C," and you're like, "What? There's different endings.
Hmm.
I gotta go find it. Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool." And of course, it would leak immediately, but then you'd want to go hunt down and find them and do a good
Yeah,
job if you
exactly.
liked it. So I do think that's really smart. I think the fact that no one's ever done this again in a meaningful way is kind of crazy to me.
Well, I think that shows how big of a risk it is. Because it's like, it is kind of crazy to do that.
Of course it is, but it's so smart, and that's where even if it doesn't work, that's one of those moves that you have to go. I respect that. I respect
Yeah.
that so
Oh, I
much.
respect the hell out of it. Yeah.
In order of characters, who do you think? Because the whole time what I love about it is you're getting duplicity throughout. Everyone's everyone's guilty in some way. How guilty they are, it's a spectrum. You know,
Hmm.
in terms of that, what character does in your watching the film? What are the characters you think are most likely to be the killer and less likely? Obviously, at the end, you realize all of them except Mr. Green are
Yeah.
killers. But the whole time, who do you think is the killer?
In terms of guilt, I would say Peacock usually feels the most guilty to me. Maybe that has something to do with her being a politician's wife, like inherently distrustful.
Yes.
And then I'd say definitely Miss White, just because like literally they say she is killed before.
The thing is, this is even as a kid, I always felt they didn't. In that, I don't know why, but even as a kid, I had this thought of like, she may have killed before. That doesn't mean she killed here. Which I know is crazy. It is such a crazy thing to think. But even as a kid, I had that like, did they really show her to do that much here? Where like to me, it was always Peacock. I understood, and Colonel Mustard was always the one where I'm like, this fucker killed someone.
Oh,
I
yeah,
also just
Colonel
have
Mustard.
I have a natural distrust of any military official. Maybe not necessarily military member, but military official. I immediately just go,
Those higher ranking ones, yeah, I don't trust them all that much.
the ones I always. And Miss Scarlet was like, if I were gonna build it into tiers, a tier would be like Peacock, Mustard, and if I only have 2 tiers, I'd throw Scarlet in there. I'm like, she did something. You know she did something.
Yeah.
Where like my B tier would be Green, Plum, and Mrs. White. Because I think someone that smart and conniving as Mrs. White would be like, I didn't murder anyone here. And then it lends more credence to her lies before that she didn't kill anyone before.
Yeah.
She's like, well, if you think I'm such a killer, why wouldn't I end up being the killer here? Clearly, I didn't do it, which means I probably didn't do the other ones either. And you're like, yeah.
It's also a really clean way of doing the movie where you have 5 characters that kill someone and you have 5 people that enter the movie just to be killed.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice and clean. I like it.
Any other little tidbits we want to talk about? Anything we want to share here?
I was trying to think of other gripes, and I really don't think I have any except the costumes. And even that's like the biggest nitpick in the world.
That's a nitpick that because I think I'm in that mold. I had that thought, and then watching Casper afterwards, which we said is going to be the follow-up episode, they put a lot of love and care into honoring the source material in that. And that's why I think this one's even sticking out even more after watching that, because the source material, they honored it so well. And the one thing is the easiest thing to do is the one thing they didn't do.
Say, it's literally the easiest one to do.
Right.
You're making costumes already. But I mean,
that's why I'm like,
I love this movie so much. I think this is in both our top 50s.
Oh yeah, it's definitely in my top. I think it's a top 25 for me if I recall. So
yeah, I can't remember where I ended up putting it, but it's definitely in the top 50.
But I adore this film. I think this film is excellent, and I would highly recommend this. This is one of those where I'm so happy I remember talking about it. I was like, we have to do Clue, and now especially 40th anniversary. I was like, it's the time. Yeah. We got to do it for spooky season. Because I built up this episode for over a year. I was like, we have to do Clue, and we have to do it for September, October spooky season. It has to happen.
Yeah. And I think it fits perfectly in that little appropriate for kids spooky, but still really fun.
I don't think this is a movie that you can be awfully offended if, like, your 8-year-old watches it.
Yeah. There's nothing bad, I don't think, in this movie. Like, what do you get? Hints at prostitution?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you could say the murder, but like,
yeah, but it's not graphic or anything, and they don't really show the murders.
Right, even when they're bashing someone in the head, they rarely show it until the end. It's always like it's coming down, then the doorbell rings, or something happens, and that happens.
That also feels very Hitchcock, where like he had to work around the censors back in the day. So it's like he could only show so much.
The thing is what's funny is, in an odd way, censorship really works for this movie and classic movies, because it forced people to be creative to tell the story. And now when it's just so, you're like, yeah, of course, you hit him over the head with something. He's dead. Cool. Like, it doesn't make it impactful.
What's your favorite kill?
Oh. I might go Yvette because it's so absurd that it's just like in one go, someone lassos the noose around her neck. Like it's so
It's probably
ridiculous.
the darkest one.
It's the darkest one, but it's also the most absurd. However, also up there would be the singing telegram girl because it's just so 3 seconds of you're like what the fuck and you're like oh well that ended quickly. Okay.
I was going to literally introduced within 5 seconds and a kill.
Yes.
It's great.
To me that's a very Raiders of the Lost arc. Why wouldn't I just shoot them? And you're like that's fair. That's real. I think that's tremendous. God, what a fun movie. What a fun movie, and I'm glad we did this one. But we'll follow up with Casper, and then we're gonna do some other quick spooky season stuff. Even though we're gonna be jam packing episodes into this end of October, but it'll be a-okay. So we'll have some fun with it. Yeah, great fun. Go watch Clue.
Yeah.
It's great.
Deserved to be more successful.
Yes, it did. And I was bummed because they re-released it this year, and it only had like a limited run, and I didn't get to it at the time. And even though it almost gets played almost every year, someone puts Clue in the theater around me. I just always miss it, or always something happens. I'm like, damn it, because I'd love to watch this movie in the theater. But go watch Clue. It's worthwhile. It's great. Also, I don't even think it's on. Is it on Amazon right now? No, that explains it. I went onto Amazon to find it, and Amazon Web Services was down today. Well, yesterday was Monday the 20th, and Amazon Web Services was down. So like millions of businesses across the fucking world were impacted. And one of them, I was like, why can't I get Clue? Like Clue is literally not available on Amazon right now.
I don't see it. It's not streaming anywhere, I guess.
Yeah, it's not streaming, but like I couldn't even.
Which is weird because it's a Paramount movie.
Right, but I couldn't even buy it or rent it from Amazon. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
it wasn't even streaming problem. It was literally I couldn't. They did not have the title to buy it or rent it. I was like, what the fuck?
Go to Voodoo. I highly recommend.
But yeah, it's tremendous though. Go watch Clue. It's great. We highly recommend. All right, we'll catch y'all in the next episode, wherever you may be. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, wherever you are. 'Tis appreciated. Go love yourself and go watch a good movie. Peace, love, and hugs. Goodbye.